it just me, or is everything boring now? Like, I remember running home from school, excited to play a new game, or being up all night in anticipation for a new movie or a video being released. And well, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all dead now. Like, honestly, when was the last time that you were truly excited about something? I don't mean just curious, I mean that like dopamine-fueled anticipation that just made you feel alive. Yeah, for me personally, I've not felt that way in years, and I wanted to find out why. And when I looked into it, I didn't just find out the reason for the boredom, but also why it feels like we've been living in the wrong timeline. But to understand that, we need to start where it all began, the early days of YouTube. Now, for those of you who weren't around to see it, the early days of YouTube were amazing. It was a golden landscape. People were picking up cameras for the first time, messing around with the settings in order to share their message with the world. Now, in fairness, it wasn't without its controversies. You know, there was a lot of racist, edgy humor and other issues that happened. But we're going to go ahead and Michael Jackson that shit under the rug for now and focus on the positives, because this is where some of the best content on the internet came from. But like all good things, it eventually had to come to an end. And in this case, the catalyst was when people realized you could make money from the platform. Suddenly, people started treating YouTube like a business. And this started this kind of gold rush for attention. Every video had to be bigger, bolder, and more extreme. Thumbnails so bright they could burn a hole in your retina. And what's weird is that in this kind of endless competition, people realized that it wasn't the best content that always won out, and instead it was the content that best appealed to the more primitive parts of your brain. We're talking pranks, gossip, drama, not the content that you felt good after watching, but the content that you felt compelled not to look away from. But paradoxically, it's not the sea of bad content that's caused us to have this kind of epidemic of boredom, and instead it's the exact opposite. You see, our brains aren't built for this kind of online world. When we get stimulated, our brains adapt to it, and that becomes our new baseline. So just like an alcoholic needs more and more drinks to get buzzed, or how I'm now at the point where I need an IV drip of caffeine just to wake up in the morning, our brains, when we get stimulated, need more and more stimulation just to feel, well, anything. It's effectively like a filter on reality. Because before it, you'd go out, you'd have your everyday experiences, you know, you'd see an average number of beautiful people, you'd have one or two funny moments a day, and maybe see one extreme event a year. And nowadays, you go online, and because of survivor bias, it is constantly the funniest, most beautiful people, the most extreme events that win out. Like, think about this. 10 years ago, we all lost our collective shit over the idea of a cat playing a piano. And now, I can see an AI video of your mum in a cat costume jumping off the Burj Khalifa. Or remember how Charlie Bit My Finger was like a worldwide phenomenon? And now, every single parent has a camera 3 inches from their kid's face, just in case they do something funny for TikTok. We're effectively living in a Black Mirror episode where everyone's wearing VR goggles that show you the 0.01% of extreme reality, and we're confused as to why we can't seem to take the goggles off. Like, what the fuck did we expect was gonna happen to our brains? And we've been seeing this in studies, this idea of popcorn brain, attention spans dwindling, and just a general kind of cultural anhedonia that's forming. You know, the same things don't give us pleasure the way they used to. Because nowadays, the average person is spending half of their waking hours in this kind of hyper-optimized reality. Our brain responds by setting our baseline way up here to the point where normal everyday life feels genuinely painful. Because when everything's competing to be exciting, nothing is.
Because I found then that my real life experience began to lose salience. And this is a really key piece of the trajectory of addiction, that our focus narrows, that more modest rewards become less interesting to us, that things that used to be really interesting and rewarding get leached of their salience, and the only thing that makes us feel good is our drug of choice.
But don't worry, because this rabbit hole goes deeper, okay? Because that's not the only problem that's contributing to this kind of anhedonia that we're all experiencing. And the next reason is found right in your Netflix library. You see, intuitively, you'd think that the more choice we have, the better. But once again, that goes against our biology. Let me know if this sounds familiar. You know, you open Netflix, you want to scroll through, you want to find something new to watch, and 2 minutes in, you're watching The Office again for the 7th time in a row. Turns out, this is baked right into our psychology. The psychologist Barry Schwartz called this the paradox of choice. Essentially, the more options that our brains presented with, the less satisfied we're able to be with whatever we choose. So when there were 50 good creators on YouTube, or 8 movies in the cinema, it was easy to pick an option and just be happy with the one that you chose. But now, there are 1,800 different videos uploaded to YouTube every single minute. But with that many options, how could we not always feel like we're missing out? And like I said in the beginning, sadly, it's not just wrecking our own brains, but it's also tearing society apart. Chapter 3, Pandemonium. I literally don't know what that word means. Okay, so here's what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, Matthew, so what? So stuff's good, stuff's over-optimized, and what? Who cares? Well, I care, and you probably should too, and here's why it matters. You see, one of the most fundamental human nutrients is connection. Like, think about it, we literally punish the worst of the worst criminals by saying you don't get to play with the thieves and the rapists anymore. And here's how content factors into that. In 1998, the hit sitcom Seinfeld aired its final episode, and 76 million people in the US tuned in live to watch it. That means the next day you're talking about it, you're quoting it, you're referencing how funny it was. It's not that funny. See, if you go back, it's not actually that funny. But they were referencing it. They were connecting over the kind of shared goofs and gags. Even more than that was the finale of the show MASH, which brought in 106 million people in the US, which is like a third of the people all tuning in live to watch this thing. This is giving you this kind of shared cultural touch point. You know, like, okay, we may disagree on all these different points, but at least we have this kind of shared identity that we both love this show. And if you compare that to today, the two kind of shows which would be in any way comparable would be Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad, and combined together, they brought in just 23 million people. What this means is that algorithms have kind of severed the kind of cultural connections that we have with everyone around us. You know, you don't say anymore like, oh, did you see the new video from XYZ person? And instead, you're always saying to people, have you ever heard of this show or this person or this book? We are constantly trying to find this kind of connection with other people, and it's nowhere to be found. Like, do you remember Vine? Do you remember? I remember when Vine was out and people would constantly just chirp to each other in the 6-second quotes from these different videos, and it was like a language in itself. And now it's dead, and I don't know what's there to replace it. That's a lie. I do. That's the next chapter of the video. Bum, bum, bum. Chapter 4, the final religion. Bum, bum, bum. So what happens when we lose all of our sense of cultural identity, of belonging within a tribe? Well, that's easy. We go and we find a new one. But unfortunately, there's only one game left in town. We've been seeing in studies over years and years how people have been getting more and more polarized. And I think this is the main reason why. You know, people are disillusioned with the fact that they don't have these kind of connections anymore. And so there's one left that has two sides that are always looking for more people. The unfortunate thing, though, is that the price of admission is your status is directly linked to how well you can destroy the other side. And what sucks is it is only gonna get worse. But luckily, I'm not going to end the video without some semblance of what I think could be a solution, and it's hidden in jelly babies. For anyone not based in the UK, jelly babies are this sweet, and they're not even that good, but my dad is obsessed with them. Like, he absolutely adores these sweets more than he loves me. I'm absolutely certain of this fact. But the thing is, my dad does this really strange thing with them, and that's that he never fucking eats them, ever. Like, I'm talking once every 6 months to a year, he will let himself indulge in his opium-fueled fantasy of jelly babies. That sounds so wrong. And he enjoys them more than I've ever seen someone enjoy anything else ever. But there is a really cool lesson here, and that's that willful limitation can make you appreciate life in the way that you actually used to. I think this is the reason we've seen people adopting things like iPlayers and CD players and VCRs as opposed to the ready, easy access that is already available to them. These things require you to put in a bit of effort to watch the thing you want and to be satisfied with the thing that you choose. Anyway, that's what I'm going to give a go. That's what I'm going to try. Hopefully it helps. But if you're like me and fell into this kind of political trap, you might want to check out this video on how we all became NPCs.